Okay. Since I will be posting a lot about art journals, I thought that I would show you examples and kind of explain what an art journal is. This was my very first art journal when I was trying to figure it out. Art journaling, I think, is very different for different people. Some people use art journaling just as a place to experiment with art, because people aren't just going to see it, and if you're experimenting and you put it on canvas, it's more expensive and it feels like it has to be perfect. Whereas if it's in an art journal, it's just experimentations. You can kind of do whatever you want to. Normally my art journals are old books that I find and I just repurpose them. And often I'll get them from Goodwill or something, and it's just an old book that I don't feel bad messing with because I normally get the nonfiction kind. But so let me just show you some examples. So this is, like I said, this is the first one I ever did, and it's rough. But like on this page, this was me expressing how I felt about something I was struggling with. And so I wrote it all down kind of illegibly. And then I went through and I just painted flowers on it. And over here I did "You're Worth It" page. And that's kind of all it says on the whole thing is "You're worth it" over and over again in white. I don't know if you can see that. And then this page, it's actually a letter. I wrote myself a letter. As if I was someone else, because sometimes when you talk to yourself, you're a little more harsh than if you were talking to other people. So I spoke to myself, wrote a letter to myself. This, some people do this. I gave it a shot for a while. It wasn't my favorite. So, but this is pretty much journaling. So here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I just wrote about my day. It was fun. It was cute, but it wasn't really something I stuck with. This is an example of when you mess up in your art journal. It doesn't matter. I just it over it, and I put this great quote by Theodore Roosevelt. And it says, "The only man who never makes a mistake is the man who never does anything." And I thought it was perfect for this page since I had messed it up. So I just stuck it on there. And I thought I'd show you this. This was my first little weirdo that I painted ever. I like doing monsters and weirdos because I can do them however I want to. They don't have to fit. They don't have to look human. I don't have to worry about them being perfect, because if I mess up, I can just be like, yeah, that's what the creature was supposed to look like, and nobody knows the difference. I wanted to show you this one because it's an example of, you don't even have to have a book. You can just use paper, and this is an old cereal box. Where is it? It's Kix. It's Kix cereal box. And I just used it as the covers, and then I stuck the artwork inside it, and then stitched it together. Well, I poked holes in it and then tied string. I didn't even stitch it. But as long as we're doing that, here's another one. This is one I did to go in my traveler's notebook. And it's just one that I made as well. And I have some cardstock. I have some, I have a card in there. I have Brain's Gone Blank, watercolor paper. I have maps. I have bits of old book. And it's Toad and Frog. Scrapbook paper. Brown paper bags. There's an envelope. There's all kinds of things, and I just turned it into a little book that can go in my traveler's notebook for the purpose of this one. This is a notebook from my traveler's notebook, and I like to, it's like this was a piece of paper that I had in my purse, and I journaled all over it, and I put some paint on it, and I'm going to do more. This page isn't finished. But when I got home, I sprayed some inks on it, and I did some prints with the leaf, and then I just glued it in here, and I'll get to the rest of it later. But see, I do different things in this one. It's not even what a lot of people would consider art. Some of it is just cutting out paper and gluing it in, or here I ripped up a piece of paper, wrote a quote on it, and stuck it in. I have a little pocket here, and I journaled on the back of it. I pressed the flower, but the flower is falling all apart. But then there are some pages where I do have more traditional type art. This one was me journaling again. See, I wrote very illegibly. It looks like I went this way and I went this way, and then I painted over it. And over here I journaled in her hair. And that one's just a quote, but you get the idea. I just do whatever I feel like in this one. But that's what this one will replace once this one's full, because it's pretty close. Now these are my current journals, which seems crazy, but I have 3 journals going all at the same time. But I do. So this one, let's see, what do we have in here? So this one, it's kind of my play journal. I used this one when I was learning more about faces, because I really wanted to learn how to do faces better. And so this became my play journal for faces. So there's a ton of faces in here, but then I moved on and did some other stuff. And here's another face I did. This one was interesting because I did her in colored pencils, and I made her hair purple, and I was going through a stage where I was putting Mod Podge on all my pages because I liked how it made it all shiny, and it feels extra thick when all the pages are like that. And it turned her hair pink. So that was something that I learned from my art journaling, is that Mod Podge on this purple colored pencil turns it pink. Who knew? This one, okay, these aren't very good. These were me playing. So, but, I mean, it's my art journal, so it's okay. But I was obviously in a funk whenever I did these, because you can see in the background where I wrote, I can't read it, but I wrote all kinds of stuff, and I kind of wrote it on top of each other, and it looks like I used a water-soluble marker. And then I put a thin layer of gesso on it, and then this feels like it's oil pastel, and I just scribbled all over it. And I did it on this side too. Yeah, so that's examples of things you do in art journals. To see, it doesn't matter. If I'd done that on canvas, I would have been a little upset with myself. But in the art journal, it doesn't matter. And here are my little weirdos in the back. And here's another page waiting. Oh, see, this is a good example. See this book? It was actually an interior design book. And see, I went through and I cut out every other page so it doesn't get too thick. And then I put gesso over it. I put gesso over the pages. And if the pages are thin, you can glue them together. These aren't too bad, but I glued some of them together, like that one. But this one's a single page. I don't know. And so once I gesso them, then I just paint on them. Now, if you're going to use watercolors, you would want to use absorbent ground. If you want to, I mean, watercolor will still work on this. I don't know if there are any examples of watercolor in here, but watercolor will still work on it. It just won't be the same as on paper. Absorbent grounds is better, but it'll still do. It'll do its thing. This is another art journal. This one was actually a children's book. I won't say what it is because it might sadden some people, but it was a children's book. And then I went through and I put duct tape on it just to help keep that part together. And then I gesso it. And then I paint on it. And some of them look very messy, like this one, but it's fun. I like it. And some of them look weird. I have some faces. Let's see. as I was working on faces. Yeah. So this one's a children's book, and I kind of like the children's book because it's smaller. It's less daunting than something like this. And I'm like, I have to fill all of this? So it's a little easier to swallow. And this one's, it's I actually use it as a journal. So like I write down things that are going on in my day. I use it as a gratitude journal as well. So I write my gratitude, things I'm grateful for in it. And I just play around in this one. I'm also doing the Start Your Day Last 90 Day Challenge with Rachel Hollis, so I have that included in it as well. But that's what this one is. This one I do have some weird stuff, like remember the papers that I showed you from this one where I'll have a piece of paper, and yeah, sometimes I'll stick it in here if I feel like it as well. So here's another one where I did that. It's just messy scribble scratch. But sometimes this is really fun to do. It might not look amazing, but it's fun. So I highly recommend it if you ever feel like it. Anyways, so hopefully that helps explain a little bit what an art journal is. And you know, you don't have to have a lot of supplies. You can just grab an old book and some children's paints and go at it. I would recommend gesso, I can speak, if you're using an old book like these, if you're repurposing a book. But most of it you can just use whatever it is you have, and it's fun.